Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ballin with Bill here with a very fine person that I've known for quite a while now, Brett Froendt. I said that right,
You
Coach?
did.
I
It's
do.
pretty good
Sometimes
now.
I butchered my own name. So it's great to have you here.
Thank
He
you.
had a great year this year, winning the state championship here in the state of Nebraska, and fantastic year. Got a lot of kids going to college, so it's an honor to have you here today,
Thanks,
Coach.
Bill. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it
Appreciate
is.
you having me.
I appreciate you, Kevin, taking the time of your day
Yeah.
in this major snowstorm to come out.
Oh yeah. I got a 4-wheel drive, so it wasn't too hard.
It's not bad.
That's right.
Not bad compared when I was growing up as a kid.
I
The
know.
two-wheel drive and
I
all in the
know.
back.
I hear you.
And we got a lot of snow back then. But anyway, so I'm gonna let you start. Tell me about how you, when you were younger and played football, and where you started and all that stuff.
Well, I'm from Coleridge, Nebraska, and Coleridge is a pretty small town of 500. We played Class C2 football back then, and it was a great town, great place to grow up, great family, great parents, but good sports town. So I got acclimated pretty quick to playing a lot of sports and just loved it. Loved sports of all kinds. Played tennis, played baseball, played golf, played everything I could. But it was a good football town. When I was in sixth grade, I started student managing for the football team, and it was 1977, and they won the state championship that year in
That's
C2.
right.
So that was a great experience. My brother was a student manager as a junior as well, so that kind of got me excited about football at the time. And then I started hanging around the high school a lot with some coaches, and in the spring I'd go to the track coach and keep times for him when the guys ran their 10s and their 40s, and learn that part of it, and just really enjoyed being around athletics. And from there, just started loving sports and loving football.
So then, did you get an opportunity to play in college?
Well, yeah, we had a lot of success at Coleridge. As a sophomore, we won a state runner-up in C2, and we were one of the smallest Class D schools in the state. And junior, we won the state championship, so that was a great experience.
Wow.
And we were supposed to have a great team coming back my senior year, but we had to go to 8-man. They finally made us go down to 8-man because of our size of our school, and that changed a lot. We got a new coach, and we didn't have the success we were supposed to have. But I was pretty small. I was a 5'10", 198-pound lineman. Which
You
happened
weren't
to
a
be,
lineman.
I was a lineman, man.
No kidding.
Heart of a quarterback, but I was a lineman in body, and I was actually the largest and biggest lineman I guess we had at the time. So I had to play line as much as I wanted to play quarterback because I knew the sport really well, and I was excited. But back then, you did exactly what the coaches told you to do,
Right.
and you didn't think about anything
No,
else.
you
So
didn't.
it's tough to find a 5'10", 190-pound lineman spot at the college level. But
It is.
I was contacted by a couple small colleges here in the Midwest, by Midland and Hastings, and
Those
because
two
of,
good programs.
because of my performance, yeah. And I don't know what they would have done with me, but my heart was set on going to Lincoln, so I went to Lincoln for college.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, good deal. So now, how did you get started in deciding you wanted to go this direction in education, football, and all that
Well,
stuff?
I went to school I majored in business administration. So
Okay.
my whole time though in Lincoln, I really wanted to be a coach, and
Okay.
I took all the business courses and was going to finish in business because I was already 3 years into it. But I did take philosophy of football 101 with Lee Zentik,
Did
your
you really?
Lincoln East coach. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
And of course I didn't know Lee from nobody down there, but took the class, turned in my wishbone offensive playbook, and he gave me 100, and I spent a little bit of time with him. I went out and watched Lincoln East play a couple times because I was from Class D and seeing a Class A school play, and it was kind of a neat experience for
Yeah.
me. But I just knew the whole time I wanted to coach, and finished in business. Went out and worked for about a year and a half to Principal Financial Group in Des Moines,
Oh, you did that.
in the insurance company, and then I decided to come back and get my teaching degree. And so from 90 to 93, I got my teaching degree at UNO, and I got my first job at Westside in 93. And from there, I've been coaching ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you looked at the business world there for a little
I
bit.
did, yeah, and I'm looking forward to getting back to it someday too when I get done teaching and coaching. But yeah, I followed my brother's footsteps in the business college, and not too many people from Coleridge left to go to 4-year college back then, so that was kind of an achievement. And I don't think my parents thought I was going to go to college either. In fact, they tell me that to this day. They couldn't believe I made it through college, and neither could I. But I made it, and
You waited twice.
I
You got a
made it
history and
twice.
came back
and
and good
3 times
administration.
actually. I got that, and I got a master's. So
So that's pretty dang good, but
I
they
got
didn't
to
think
give
you
it
were
to
going
my
to go.
parents. And everybody in town you talk to wouldn't believe that I made it through. So it's been quite a journey, but it was fun. I came from a great place, great supportive family, and Westside's a great family to be in as well.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of proud there. That's my
Yeah,
alma
absolutely.
mater.
Yeah.
So when you got there, who was your first person you worked with or got involved
Yeah.
in coaching and started your beginning of coaching?
Yeah, I remember I got hired in the summer, and there was a camp going on behind the school in the old dirt fields back there.
Oh, yeah,
So
before they
there's
built
not
all
much
those
grass.
nice
Yeah,
facilities.
exactly. And I watched the coaches, watched the players, and and I think that's the first time I introduced myself to Larry Morrissey and Tom Hall and some of the legends of Westside. And,
Right.
But I think the best experience I've had, even to this day, was working with Fred Hutchinson, who was the freshman coach at that time, and amazing mentor, amazing coach, and he coached there for a long time at the freshman level, which was a great experience for me and many of the coaches that came through Westside, because the fundamentals he taught us, the techniques, the specifics, just about not only how to play football but how to coach football, was invaluable. And that's kind of where it started. And I got a great start from him. He allowed me to move. I think he put me on the line the first year.
Did he?
Which that's what I knew.
That's what
I knew. I asked him 2 years later if I could run the offense. He said yes. And then he moved me to defense about a year later. So I got a chance to really do it all with him in 5 years. So I can't thank him enough for that experience.
Yeah. When I was going to school, he was the Arbor Heights coach.
Yeah, right.
And I was at Westbrook, and then of course Valley View, not Rockbrook, Valley View was Marty Kaufman, who you ended up working for.
And we ran the Wishbone in high school.
That's what Marty ran.
Well, and Fred was still running the Wishbone, but the high school, Larry's team, the varsity team, was transitioning to the I formation and power football. So that was fun because Fred was teaching one thing, the varsity was learning another. But I knew the Wishbone pretty well, and that was exciting. And then as time went along, of course, learning the new system, I was able to transition to that. So I had a great opportunity to learn during those early years.
So now, as a full-time varsity system, what year did you start there as a full-time?
Well, I went 5 years freshman, and then I got moved up to JV for 1 year. And then in 1999, Larry brought me up to varsity. And
so you did work with Larry there before you worked with Larry?
And I worked with Larry for 3 years as the special teams coordinator. And
okay.
And I kind of moved from defensive end to linebacker during that time, but I was in charge of all the special teams, which was a great experience and had to learn a lot. I ran a lot of different coaches.
Special teams is so.
Lance Leopold was down at UNO at the time. I went down and learned some things from him. I listened to Jeff Jamrock at the time because he was special teams, and I learned a lot of good things in 3 years. And to this day, special teams is a big part of what I do at Westside.
You still involved in special teams?
Absolutely, absolutely. Every day. We have a coordinator, but I still run 2 of our special teams, the punt team and
that's the most important.
And the extra point team. Yep, absolutely.
2 most important.
I like to have a lot of fakes in, a lot of opportunities for the kids to get that extra down. So I enjoy that part of it. But and then since '99, I've been on varsity for 3 years, and then Marty took over. Marty Kaufman became head coach in 2002 and asked me to be defensive coordinator. So
that's when I remember you took over for defense. So. For Marty, because I met you back then. That's when I first met you. I knew who you were, but I actually got to meet you because Marty.
I appreciated the opportunity Marty gave me because to take over the defense, Tom Hall and I were really close when Tom retired with Larry in 2001, and that was a big joy and privilege of me to take over the defense at the time.
Yeah, because you replaced a. I mean, he was my my defensive coordinator.
Tom was a legend. Yeah, he really was.
And head basketball coach. Had a lot of success as a basketball coach there for the Westside.
I lost a piece of my heart, when he passed away a couple years ago, and still close with his wife, and I still use a lot of the same techniques, the same thoughts that he brought across. A little different demeanor because kids coach a little bit different nowadays.
Yeah, well, I don't know how many times he told me, son, I can't use you if you tackle like that. I can't use you.
I'm pretty sure I lose my job right now if I use some techniques. But that's the same case.
It was expected back then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were coached the same way in high school. So, but things have changed. Players have changed. Expectations have changed a little bit. And as a coach, if you don't evolve with the times, you get left behind, and some coaches struggle with that.
Yeah.
And you want to hang on to the past, but sometimes you got to let go and move forward because everything evolves.
It does. We all evolve and society evolves. So, I mean, it's interesting. But, yeah, I grew up with Tom and, of course, Louis. You knew Louis, and that was tough on all of us when he passed away here last year and stuff. So, and they both passed away of cancer, so it's too bad.
Yeah. Louis asked me in my early years to, of course, Louis was a long-time wrestling coach and very, very successful wrestling coach, but I hadn't seen a wrestling match my whole life, and Louis asked me to keep score. Probably my first month there, he asked me to keep score at a wrestling meet, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I was on the score box, and of course, guys were throwing up numbers. I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and before I knew it, Louis was in my face, about ready to punch me in the chest. Because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Like, who are you? He's a little guy, but
he was.
You didn't mess with him. And I was scared to death. And I said, Lou, you got to give me a break here, dude. And that was the last time I kept score wrestling.
Was Marty on his side there, too?
One time. I don't remember Marty because I was so damn scared of what Louis was telling me that I was done. I haven't kept score another meeting the rest of my career.
Oh, he could fire up an official, boy.
That was 1993.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was afraid he was going to punch me that night.
I could see him
because he's done it before.
Yeah, he has.
He did it before in the old days.
Yeah, he did. He'd scare some officials.
Love that man.
Oh, he
right.
took it to heart and everything.
Yeah.
He was a great guy to wrestle for because he cared about his wrestlers. He really
Italian
did.
blood.
Yeah.
It ran hot.
Yeah, it did. So that's a good thing to start with. How because I remember he was defensive coordinator, and I recruited your kids to Dana when I was head coach there, and I didn't recruit one Westside kid. I'm proud to say that couldn't play for me and didn't do a good job while I was there for me. So my quarterback, Otis Seals, who's the baseball coach now, and they've all. Marcus is a lawyer now for the city of Omaha, so it's pretty kind of cool how those kids all kind of grow up and change. But how have you evolved? Because it's changed. Because back then, your defense, but kind of how have you evolved as a coach? Because you did coach at a different time when it was a different way, and it's evolved tremendously in the last 10 to 15 years.
Just like a lot of coaches, used to coach with a lot of emotion, a lot of anger, it seemed like, and some negativity. And the current player today, and most kids just don't respond to that. No. Now we're feeling out exactly how kids want to be coached. But that's what you have to do because you want to push the right buttons. I think that's how we've evolved mostly. Is in the old days, it was we coached how we wanted to coach.
Oh, you did.
And nowadays, you need to coach how the kids will respond. And the more you can do that, and there's kids out there that want to be pushed, they want to be yelled at, and that's okay. But we have to find that out because you can't push the same buttons and all the kids respond anymore. And I think as a coach, you got to learn how to handle that.
Right.
Both yourself and all your assistants have to understand that just to coach one way doesn't reach kids anymore. And I think to get the most out of the kids, and to optimize your performance, you have to be able to understand how they tick and what motivates them and what motivates them to work the hardest. And that's up to us to figure that out. Yeah, it's hard work though.
Back in when you played and I played and stuff. It was. If you didn't do it there, you hit the highway pretty much. So you got in there and you got better and worked harder and wanted to play because that was.
I think where I've evolved the most too here, just in the last 5 or 6 years, is just understanding the mental mindset of what's required to perform. And I brought people in. I don't know it all. I don't learn it all, but I try. And I try to keep evolving as a coach. But I have a sports psychologist on staff now who does an amazing job, Garrett Morbeck, and he's a trained sports psychologist. And I've solicited the help of Larry Widman, who's is amazing sports psychologist and mental mindset coach, and Jack Riggins is a former SEAL. But we pulled those resources in just to try to figure out how to maximize
the ability and the brain power of the kids.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you know, it's happening now. Smart college coaches are employing those types of people. The pros are using those types of people because the mindset is what you need to train as much as the physical part.
Jimmy Johnson was really good at that. Absolutely, so was Don Shula.
Before their time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't do a whole lot of structure, but they understood that's part of the game that you've got to coach. Yeah.
Heck, if I'd had a sports psychologist, I might have been there the whole time. You want to see me every day? Go, you need to come back.
Well, you have so many kids at all levels, right?
Oh, you do.
And you want them all to optimize their performance, not just it's easy to take the best players and make them stars. They're stars already, but if you can bring your middle third and your bottom third to a higher level, that's what's going to make you a strong
in football.
program.
That's the key to winning.
You know how many of those kids get left behind though a lot of times.
Because
provide them lip service. So we do everything we can to coach 1 through 80 and whatever it is, and that's how we try to maximize our team.
Because I grew up, Vince Lombardi, right? And that's you're strong as your weakest link.
That's right.
And that's something, and that's part of football. I think that's what makes football different than other sports is you need everybody to come along,
right?
Because that's what makes you good as a team.
And that's what you tell your younger coaches. And don't coach the star. Coach number 20 and coach number 40 because that's what's going to make your team really good. Right. The stars are going to be stars regardless. And so it takes a lot of work though.
It does. Yeah. It does. So now, you did coach offense, but you've been on the defense now for a while.
I've been on the defense primarily since I started as a varsity coach. Yeah. I love to dabble. I got a creative mind, but I let my coaches coach, and that's important too.
Now, do you still run the defense today?
I run the defense today. Yeah.
How have you evolved there? Because I watched your defense, and it's still the same thing, but you've had evolved in tackling. How you take on blocks and when people are pulling and blocking, you take on a different way than you did back then.
Right.
So how have you evolved?
We evolved during the season. We changed during the season, right? Based on strategy and things. I've had coaches say you can only do things one way. If you're going to spill a block or if you're going to trap a block or whatever you're going to do, I go, no, we actually will change based on the game plan. Offenses change based on defenses and what you do.
Right.
We're going to change too. In fact, we made a halftime adjustment during the Elkhorn South game, which helped us quite a bit, which had to do with spilling a player versus boxing a player. So those types of things we've learned to be able to do. The kids can adjust, adapt as long as you practice and it happens. But how we've changed, it's still the same thing, right? You want to be the most physical football team, you got to stop the run. We put some measurements with that, but we try to be aggressive. Back in the day, it was read and react, right? I've always said attack and react because we want to make sure we get after the offense first, and that's all words,
right?
But in the end, you try to coach toughness the best you can. You try to coach resilience, but we try to do a great job of making sure the kids are on the same page. Game plan, and that takes a lot of work too. More classroom work, right? More film study, more structure, more accountability to make sure the kids know what you're talking about, not just what you're throwing at them, and so. We work hard at that, and making sure the kids are on the same page.
Like the filming has been some more. Now kids can take it home and watch.
It's like the products you guys provide, right? It gives us so many different angles and so many opportunities to sit down with the kids and show them what they're doing right and wrong.
Right.
But yeah, the technology's been very helpful.
Tremendous. When I started, we were 16 millimeter film.
Absolutely. Same with me.
I worked for Sandy's when I was a GA. We'd take the film up, pin them up around the trash cans, and splice them up. It'd break all the time. The coach would be going, you have to get it and fix it and glue it together.
The challenge now.
It's so dang easy.
We have so much technology. Is teaching the kids how to use it.
Right.
How to break a play set down, right? Or how to look at their film, not just the good things, but how to break down their weaknesses. So we're teaching them more how to use the technology.
Because they can sit there at home and look at everything on their laptop.
Get them away from their videos and their YouTubes and their games and
get them to actually watch something important.
Yeah, and that's the challenge. The more kids you get to do that, the better team you become pretty quick.
How do you do that today?
Just personal accountability. It's position meetings. Every coach on our staff has position meetings, and they don't have to be a half hour because kids' attention span, coach's attention span. So if it's 10 or 15 minutes a couple of times a week, that's the important part. A little bit of team, a little bit of position, and one-on-one. And our coaches do a great job of that. And we hold the kids accountable by paying attention to how much they are watching film. Not just talk about it in a group, but we talk about it with individuals if they're not seeing enough film, watching enough film. So we educate them.
You get clicks on it, don't you?
We get minutes and clicks and things like that. Right. You bet. Yeah, but it's mostly quiz and questioning. Right. It's what did you see here? What did you see there? And we know right away if they watched it. So that's important as well.
Awesome. No, I think that's when I look at it now as a past coaches, it's changed so much since I got out of coaching.
Yeah. Well, I wish we had more time to watch film. Right. If we could, I know some schools do tape practices and things like that. But we don't have much time during the day. At Westside, we teach all the way through. We don't get any breaks. We have the same teacher load, so it's tough to watch practice film. Like colleges get an opportunity to do, but when we do get a chance to tape practice, that helps even more, right?
Right.
It's amazing what you learn on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, can't beat it.
I know it. So tell me about how you've adjusted offensively too, because I watch you now offensively. When you first started with Marcus, you guys were an eye a lot more, and now you're a lot more spread out, and you motion into it. I mean, you still run options, still run a lot of things, but you just are more creative with it now.
Yeah, we don't run much option. We got to wait. We tried to do that when I first started. And that was dumb. We tried to do some things that we weren't good at. But we morphed into kind of a multiple offensive program, and I admire programs like Coach Martin at Omaha North and Coach Petito, who have their systems and they run it regardless of who they have and what's going to happen, and they run it great. Same with Coach Huffman in the spread games and Elkhorn South, but we try to be multiple. We try to put a fullback in there and a tight end, run some power when we have tight ends. But we also want to spread the ball out. So what we believe, and we may not do it as great as those two teams do at what they do, but we try to get very competent in both. And it's tough to prepare against a power team and a spread team. Yeah. And that's the position we try to put our opponents in. And they don't know what they're getting from week to week. It just all depends on their personnel and ours at the time, but we try to give them both looks. And it's really easy for me as a defensive guy to prepare against one type of offense. If it's spread, if it's power, okay. But if you give us too many different looks and too many sets for a high school situation,
personnel-wise, that's hard to get your personnel adjusted.
Yeah, it's tough to prepare for.
Yeah, because you switch personnel out a lot of times with that too.
Yeah, and it also allows us to go with our strengths. This year we had a lot more great athletes on the perimeter. We spread the ball out a lot more. If we get some more power backs and some fullbacks and tight ends, and we can get into that, we don't have to change our system. Right. Our offensive front, we try to keep it as simple as we can. So it doesn't matter if we're in a tight end I set or a spread set. We're stistill running the same plays up front, right. And so we try to keep it simple for them.
Because that's when I watched you. That's one thing I've noticed is through the years is that because when you were there with Marty, you were a lot of power and play action, but you've spread it out and you'll throw 3-step and 5-step depending on what you're getting and stuff.
Well, we started playing with the game like everybody has, right? Spreads awesome and fun, and you get to score and you get to throw the ball around and put the ball in space. And so we started playing with that, and we started getting okay with it, but we still go back to our roots when we can, because it's tough to stop power football if you're good at it.
No, if you can.
And when we can, we try.
Yeah, I know. I mean, if you can blast somebody out of there and run the ball, there's nothing better.
Absolutely. But you got to have a lineman up front to do it.
Yeah, got to have a tight end and a fullback that can get it done too.
Yeah, and we don't have that every year, so we try to play to our strengths.
That's good. Now it helped you spread this year with that quarterback you had, because when you got him spread out, his ability was also his running ability.
Well, as a defensive guy, your biggest nightmare is that 11th guy.
Why do you think 15 down there in Kansas City gives everybody a heck for?
Exactly, and that's so tough to plan for. It's tough to game plan for, and that's what Cole does to you, right? And,
he does.
When you have that ability to have him run the read game, you got to use it.
And he ad-libs well too.
He does. Yeah, that's probably what he does best. To be honest with you, is when he's on the run, when he's got to make a decision late, he's very good. And he's an amazing athlete. We don't get kids that look like that or can perform like that, and we used him every bit of his ability this year in any position we could.
He was special.
It was tough not putting him on defense most of the year, and we said
he likes playing defense.
He's great at playing defense. He could play college football at pretty much anywhere on defense, but he's got that skill set. But when we put him in the playoffs, he made a difference every play he was out there, and you saw that in the championship game. The few plays he played.
Yeah, I know. I watched the game.
It was fun. It's fun.
He was a very impressive day. He sold me on his athleticism that game.
Without question. Yeah, great kid. One of the best kids we've ever had there too. I tried to set him up with my daughter, but she's a little too old. But I said many times, I go, if you're ever interested in meeting a 25-year-old, he is an amazing young man. Came in as one of the best leaders that our kids identified in their peer group when he was a freshman, and is leaving with the same status. Just an amazing, impressive kid.
That's awesome when you have a kid like that. I mean, it means a lot to your program and everything.
Oh, yeah. And he's been a great mentor to a lot of the kids and peers of the class and the kids underneath him. He still comes to the weight room and works out with our young kids. He still sits down at the lunch table with freshmen, and that's special. You don't get that very often.
No. Now he's going to be a Bison, right?
He's going to be a Bison. You bet. I'm excited.
They put out some quarterbacks here lately.
Just a few, right?
They're going to have one drafted this year again,
yes,
too.
they will. I think that'll be the third in a row or fourth in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. So he's, he's going to give it his best shot. Personally, I think he could be an NFL tight end.
Well, didn't Nebraska recruit him as a tight end or linebacker, or am I wrong on saying that?
No.
I thought Division Ones looked at him as
some looked at his linebacker.
That's what it was.
Yep,
it's linebacker.
Absolutely. But at the time, for a long time, we were putting out that he wanted to play quarterback, and some schools backed away because they didn't want to spend the time recruiting him another position if his heart was set on quarterback. And North Dakota State spent a lot of time vetting him and looking at one other guy, and they settled on Cole. And kudos to Coach Hedberg up there, because he did his homework, and he spent a lot of time with Cole. He spent a lot of time with me on the phone, and they think they got their guy. So we're excited for him.
Now, is he going to play right away, or is what?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I mean, do they have, who's up there now?
Obviously, he has opportunity. The guy they have up there is probably going to go. Yeah, so he's got an opportunity to go up there and compete.
That's super. That's super as a freshman, because they've got that prep kids in the NFL now and played there. I remember when he did a nice job at prep. Yep. So I mean, it's kind of awesome.
He's an amazing player. Yep. We had an opportunity. We played Easton 2 times his senior year. Him and R.J. Erzendowski.
That's right. You
were
did.
Great players, and so Cole's following his footsteps. Had an opportunity to work with Easton this summer a little bit and pick his brain, and had a great experience with him. Great kids.
That's super.
Yeah.
So tell me about this season. What it mean to you? Because I mean, you've been knocking at the door a few times. You got second a couple times. I mean, you've been right there, Brett. So what did it feel like knock through the door this time?
It was so special. We were so close last year. We just didn't have a team that was ready, and we went up against a team that was ready to win, and it was a really good team.
They were on fire last year.
No question. But we've been close, like you said.
Because you beat that real good team at North when you were right in the finals with them.
And
they had that great running back that broke up the state record.
We played them head-to-head that night. Yeah. So, unfortunately, we lost that one. But we knocked on the door.
You did.
When we were due, for sure. It was special because, Westside deserves a championship, and we've had a lot of good teams there since 1982, and I've only been there since 93. We've had several get to the semifinals,
right?
Some that have fell short, and as a young coach, I was sitting there going, we need to get more out of these kids, or somehow we need to finish higher. But our goal is to finish in the top 4 every year and give ourselves a chance for that championship, and we're getting more consistently there now. And a big part of that's a consistent staff, and I've had a great staff since I've started. And every time we put 3 or 4 years of consistency and staff together, we get the right mix of kids. Because back in 13 and last year, we didn't have a lot of Division I kids when we were there.
I don't think you did Slottick's year either, too. And you're
No.
right. You knocked on the door that year, too.
Exactly. Yep. And so we've done a lot with the kids we have there, and we're really proud of that. But it was great to get there. It was great for the community, great for the school. It's been a long time, and
Oh, it has.
and
Just Dan
Westside's
Young won
deserved it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a long time.
So my year was we were second. We got beat by Lincoln East.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
know the
that's
head
right.
coach is Lincoln East that time?
Not Lee.
No.
Who was
Frank.
that? Frank. Okay, that's
Frank,
right.
that's before he went and became the freshman coach in Nebraska.
Okay, all right. Long time ago.
Oh, I'm dating myself now, brother. But anyway, so this year was different for you.
Yeah.
And I mean, just so how was it to adapt this year and keep on? You went undefeated. I mean, you played every game, and I don't think you missed a game either, did
We
you?
didn't. We had 160 kids in the program, 9 through 12, and we didn't have any COVID cases. We had some in the families. We didn't have any kids get COVID until after the season got over with. We had 3 right away.
Oh, did you
So
really?
how we got through it, we'll never know.
Because I mean, like Bellevue only got so many games. I mean, so
Exactly.
I mean, you played every game.
Got to give a lot of credit to the kids. You know, we're on them all the time, but of course they get tired of us saying, you know, what to do and what not to do on the weekends. But you got to give them a lot of credit because they made some sacrifices.
They had to,
the
because
staff
nobody,
did.
you never came down with it.
Exactly, and so we're fortunate. We were lucky to get through. Lucky to have a whole season. And everything worked out for us. You know, we stayed fairly healthy. We didn't have too many major injuries. We had a couple season-ending ones, but it just all worked out for us. And the kids played their best at the end, which was great to see.
Yeah, you had a nice playoff run, but I couldn't imagine what this year would have been like for being a head coach and try to organize everything.
Yeah.
It changed your planning and everything. So I mean, off-season conditioning was messed up because of last year. So I mean, just being an ex-coach, I take my hats off to you guys handling it this year like you did.
Appreciate that. You know, we started in May. You know, when we were all home from COVID, we put out some incentives and some things where kids could go work out, and we kept track of every kid in the program and if they were working out or not through the month of May, saying, hey, let's get a jump start on every other program. And the kids bought into that, I think, and kind of led into our summer workouts. And as the summer went along, it was different, right? We had to keep the kids separated. In the fall, we couldn't let them take showers. You know, after practice, we had to bring them in 15 at a time. Everything was bizarre.
That's wild.
Absolutely.
So the organization of the staff had to be
100%. We had to have staff run inside and make sure kids were separated, and you know that lasted most of the season where we did that. And the kids did a great job of adjusting. To be honest with you, it's unfortunate that they didn't have the excitement of the 10,000 people in the stands. We had a lot of home games this year, which would have drawn a lot of fans and a lot of people. A lot of revenue for the school and all that, but you know they took it in stride because they were winning, and they put the gold medals around their neck, and they were smiling as big as, you know, whether 10,000 in the stands or not. So that sense of accomplishment was huge, and they were fortunate. We haven't had a celebration yet. We haven't had our banquet yet.
When do you guys? How does that work now?
We're gonna do that in March. We're gonna get together and do what we can. We tried to do it, but things were too hot and still are. So we're gonna celebrate.
Yeah, that's the
We're
hard
amongst
part.
family, and we're looking forward to that. But
Well, you
it's
deserve
just,
it.
everything's
You deserve
been
it.
different. Yeah.
You deserve. No, it is. I couldn't. I mean, we talked about it here.
Sure.
I mean, the stuff. I mean, there for a while, you didn't know if the Big Ten or the Pac-12 was going to play, and it's just the whole thing you guys went through this year, and Nebraska stuck to their goals, and
Well, we got out in front of it with the parents too. You know,
Right.
This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to, and they were very supportive and felt what we were doing was right. We brought doctors in to make sure we were doing the right things and had their support, and like most other schools around, we got lucky. We got through it, and we were able to get it done. So
yeah. I mean, because my son, coaches down there at Bentonville, and
yeah.
they got through it too. But there were some teams around there they missed a couple games because they got it and they couldn't play.
Yeah, I feel terrible for the kids that didn't get to play, and the coach that didn't get to coach. You know, having OPS.
Spina Senior. Oh, I know it.
Would have been great, you know, and what can you say about that? But
Because Burke and North were going to be decent teams
sure,
this year.
absolutely, they'd be good and very competitive, absolutely. So, but what do? You play the schedule you're given. The kids did everything they could to be successful, and they worked out for us. So
that's super, Coach.
You bet.
Well, I want to ask you one more thing, okay? Because the thing being at Westside, okay, I've noticed that your young kid program is really grown for you guys, and I remember when you were struggling with that, but now it's kind of kicked off, and I think that's helped you. So tell us me a little bit about that, your off-season program and all that stuff.
Well, you know, in when I was still assistant with Marty, I could never understand all these young kids weren't playing Westside. We didn't have any Westside feeder program. We didn't know where our kids at the time. Our incoming freshmen, about 60% of the kids hadn't played football till their freshman year, and if they were, they were playing out in MAA or out in organizations throughout the Little Chiefs, all kinds of organizations. So in '07, I had a gentleman, Gary Rotherman, came to me from South Omaha and said, what do you think about starting an organization? And of course, Marty was doing his head thing, but I said, you know what, let's figure out how we get this going. So in 2007, we started the Junior Warrior program, and now Jim Sitchmiller's taken that over.
Has he? Okay.
We were pretty much instrumental in forming the MYFL, which is now the current league that everybody's got feeder programs, and now we have Westside kids in the feeder program coming to Westside, and we use that obviously as our opportunity to go down and help the coaches coach, help the kids learn, and that's. Most of the kids that were on that championship team this year played Junior Warriors, and they tell stories about that's where they had formative, opportunities to get to gain all kinds of strong bonds with the kids, memories. We have the kids share about some of their youth memories, and it's all about Junior Warrior football. So that's been huge in our evolution of talent. And especially in our culture of our program, and that was one of the first things we started when I took over, is trying to make that culture stronger. And the Junior Warriors were.
I remember when you started it, and I've heard it's improved greatly, and it's been a big part of your help of sustaining your level of success you've had last few years.
And Westside's been a great school for a long time. It's going to be great. It was great before I got there. It's going to be great when I leave. But I felt our identified culture could be stronger in the football program. And in '09, we established that. I took the coaching staff to Mahoney, and we did an overnight, and
that was a good idea.
What do we want this football program to be? What do we want to represent and stand for? And we came back from that. So even though I had my own ideas, the staff came up with it. And we started a very identifiable, strong culture at that time. And that's evolved over time. DJ Rezak, one of our alumni, has come back and helped us refine that culture. Now the kids help set that culture every year. So they have ownership in it. And everybody talks about culture, their programs at all these different colleges and high schools. And some coaches around the area I know do a great job of that. But we feel that's what bonds the kids together. We feel that's what takes the middle third and the bottom third kids and makes our team and organization stronger.
That's a good idea.
And again, the talent's the talent. What you get's what you get. Don't go out and recruit kids and find kids throughout the city. Whoever comes to Westside is going to be coached up. But we just feel that culture is going to make that bottom third and middle third kids be better, want to play for each other harder, want to play for their coaches and their school harder, and therefore have a better program. And that's a very good idea. That's what we shoot for.
Now, obviously, and I know because I remember when I was at Westside, we had just a little old weight room, and I've been there now that you've redone everything, and about four of us that just lifted back then, really. And now everybody on the team lifts, all your sports lifts. So, tell me about your off-season program, because I love that's my thing that I love is the weight room and all that stuff.
Yeah, when I got there in '93, there wasn't that much lifting going on. There's that weight room down there, and you had a core group of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys go down there and throw some weight around. And about '98, I'm going, we got to organize this. Something's got to be. And all the coaches had little pieces, but nothing was real organized. So '98, I started the Warrior Power Club, which is basically an off-season program for the football guys. And there was 15 of them. I said, you guys want to start lifting together? Let's do it together and identify this as a club. And this is going to be our training for football. And so Tim Green, you probably remember Tim, who went to Nebraska.
Yeah.
He was a part of the original gang back in
was he really?
99. And so I learned at that point that the kids really responded to incentives, motivation, record boards, which I've established and put up in the weight room. T-shirts, buffets at the end of every session, testing
I'm in
4
on that.
times a week.
I'm happy to go there for you.
If you provide some incentives, some motivation, some fun, they're gonna take to it. And so that's evolved into now what Craig Sikora, our strength coach and offensive coordinator, does an amazing job with our strength program. And when we come off the bus, we look like a football team now.
No, you do.
And every school needs to, knows the importance of strength and conditioning. But like everybody, we emphasize it, but we put structures in place to try to motivate the kids, incentivize the kids. There's no punishments, no consequences. You either do it or you don't. But I think because of all the things we have going on, they want to be a part of it. And again, collectively, that's made our program better.
And you've done it nice. It's really come along.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
it has.
I got to give Craig Sikora all the credit in the world.
He's done a good job there.
He can go anywhere and coach and be a strength coach, and he's incredibly knowledgeable. He evolves every year. I'm very confident that what we do is better than a lot of colleges just because of his knowledge and what he puts in front of the kids. But we fight the kids that want to go out and train on their own or want to go train with trainers.
I think that's a big problem a lot of schools have.
Yeah,
Not just
yeah.
you. I mean, just trying to keep them there to keep the togetherness.
Yeah, well,
but they want to go get their special training.
There you go. To train with their teammates, and the teammates push them. nothing replaces that.
No.
A trainer doesn't replace that.
No.
And there are
and the competition between the kids.
Absolutely, and there are uses for that. And I don't. There's some instances where I don't mind that at all, and they get a lot of great uses from that. But nothing replaces being in the room together, camaraderie, teamwork, competition,
cohesiveness,
achievement,
yeah.
And looking at that record board and trying to get there. It's all about that in football, and you know that.
I know it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of building that team structure.
Sure.
But anyway, it's an honor to have you out here being an ex-Warrior.
It's an honor to be here.
And
Yeah.
I've known you a long time, Brett, and I've thought you've done an outstanding job of my alma mater. And
Thank you, Bill.
Bob and I are very proud of what you've done there.
Appreciate
you fit
that.
right in there with Lou Maloney and all those good ones.
Well, that means a lot.
'Cause we've had a lot of good coaches there, and you're right, Tom Hall, Louie, and
Larry
Dan
Hardy,
Young, and
Dan Young, absolutely.
played coach at Nebraska. So it's nice I put you in that class. So
I appreciate that.
Appreciate that.
Well, I honor a lot of my assistants because I'm just one guy, and if you don't have them on board, and if they're not a part of what you do on a daily basis, it's pretty hard to be a high school coach and do it all yourself. And so, all the guys that I have are pretty special.
I think football is a great lesson for people in life
100%.
because it's a sport we've all played it, and a lot of us here in this building have played it that work here, and it builds a team togetherness, cohesiveness between coaches, players, and everybody together that no other sport does, because it takes so many guys, because you get special teams, defense, offense, and it just takes everybody to work as one.
That's right.
To have a successful like you have this year, the success you had this year.
One or two guys can't make a team successful.
No, it takes all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Coaches and players. So,
and which is a great lesson for life, because that's what it takes to make it in life.
Special
too.
sport. That's right. And not having a locker room this year. The locker room creates what kinds of bonds, right? And what kinds of experiences and stories. And I mean, the kids love the locker room. Almost any football team in the country more than anything, right?
Right.
We didn't have that this year. So
nobody did. That might be weird for everybody.
That's a barrier every coach and every team had to fight through. Was how do you keep them tight? How do you get them tighter? Because that bonding experience they had before and after practice. I mean, most coaches know this. You got to kick kids out of the locker room after practice.
So you go home
by 7:30, 8 o'clock for dinner.
That's right. So you go home.
So
Mama doesn't get mad at you.
Some kids enjoyed bouncing out of there right away, but for the most part, they wanted to hang until we kicked them out and made this group pretty special too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this special edition, show of Ballin with Bill. I used to wrestle, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We got to finish it here with the old hush. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hush, hush, hush. Go Warriors.